Good morning, y'all. It is day 2 of really getting the garden ready. Today we're going to be working on the old plot, getting the weeds up, getting those hills rearranged like I want it to. Got some acidifier I need to add to bring that pH up. And once I get all that done, then I'm going to dump all that extra soil that I've got back on top of this to really build this up again, because it has been depleted. Before I get started on that, I just want to show you our blueberry bush over here. And this honestly is something that has never been attended to, as you could probably guess from its look. It started off as some sprigs that we got from the neighbors across the street. They just sort of gave us some shoots that were growing up, and we planted it here. And oh gosh, 7-8 years ago, and anytime it would get berries on it, the berries never would actually, well, the blossoms, let me back up, the blossoms never really would bear any fruit out of it. And last summer was the first time that I had ever noticed any kind of fruit on there, and it had like 8-9 berries, and those berries never did ripen. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but it's got more blossoms on it than I have ever seen it have. I mean, these branches are just so loaded down with blossoms. I mean, just look at that. And I am hoping that we'll actually get some berries off of this thing this year. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research and seeing what I can do to possibly help make sure that happens. I may have to end up building a structure so I can put a net over it, because the squirrels and the birds, they will get to it. But the bumblebees are hard at work on that this morning, drinking from the flowers and hopefully doing some pollinating. I want to see what happens. I don't know if that needs some acid thrown in there at the bottom to help it to do its thing or whatnot. I've been told that our property is good for that just because of the clay that's in the soil. That's what the people who we bought blueberry bushes from before that never made it told us. We'll see. Again, this is the lab, trying to figure some stuff out. We'll see how it goes. And we're just gonna got something that's just growing like it is on the lawn. We'll just see what we can make from it. Enough chit chat. It is closer to lunch than I wanted it to be before I got out today on my first weekday of my spring break. Excuse me. I took the advantage to sleep in a little bit this morning. Let's get to work. Set you guys up on a time lapse. Maybe you can see the progress of pulling these weeds up and getting everything done. And the goal is that tomorrow we will actually put some plants and some seeds in the ground. I have gone through quite the gamut of emotions this morning as I have been pulling up the weeds. I decided I'd stop that time lapse because A, nobody wants to see 3 hours of weed pulling. 2, I'm afraid it's going to take 3 hours of weed pulling. And it was so awesome when I began in this back corner. You can see the trails where I pulled up the weeds from the root, and there's still some stuff down here, but I was getting a lot of the big stuff, and I'm making my way across, and this particular hill right here, I mean, there's still stuff in this hill for me to pull up. Okay, and my back's getting sore from being bent over. And as I look up at this, I swear to y'all, it keeps getting greener and greener and greener, and for every one I pull up, I look up and I feel like I'm seeing 17 more. It's worse than Hydra. Watch Captain America, the first one, if you don't know what I'm talking about. but every time I pull one up, I swear it multiplies on the other end of this garden. And this is what I've got so far collected in the wheelbarrow from what I have pulled up. And I'm at an impasse. Well, I'm not at an impasse. I'm having to make a decision. Am I going to continue to bend over and break my back and try to pull every one of these up by hand, because raking didn't do it. Maybe I should try the hoe. Come up here and hoe it up. That way I can get it up in bigger clumps. Maybe that's what I should do. Work smarter. That's what I'm going to try. But anyhow, I'm trying to decide what's going to happen. Am I going to risk it and leave it, put the new stuff over it, put the weed cloth down, and then just say, this is going to be the year that as soon as I see the green, I pull it up, and it doesn't get to sit there for more than the 24 hours that I've seen it? Or do I try to do an ounce of prevention? I've talked about neglect and how that doubles your work. So I'm probably going to try to put a couple of ounces of prevention in this thing and try to get all this up. We'll see. See what happens come the end of this video. I'm going to tell you guys, when I first started, I was just like, yes, I want to do this for a living. The romantic notions of being a farmer and providing for your family, watch it grow from the ground, and then having enough that you can sell to your neighbors or sell at the farmer's market. I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to connect with the dirt. I want to connect with the earth. I want to do like God created us to do, and just steward the earth and grow this food and share it. And it's just like, oh, I got to get to that point. 30 minutes later, my back is killing me. Maybe I still want to do this for a living. I don't know, but I got to find a better way to do it. That's what I'm going through this morning. I told you this channel is going to be about honesty and failure and stupidity and emotions and everything else. You're not going to learn anything new here other than, I shouldn't have done that. That's what this channel is all about. Oh. All right. I got to get back to it, because it ain't going to get done by me talking about my emotions and trying to vlog it. Woo, standing in the shade to wrap this thing up. I went through, picked stuff up by hand. I was going to leave it there, but I decided, no, I'm going to get as much up as I can. There's still more green on the ground than I'd like there to be. I can also feel the back of my neck and my head get sunburned. I need to get a good hat I can put on while I'm out here. Here's what I've done. Let's turn this around. Here's what I've done. This is what I'd already shown you. But there's a lot less green than there was. But there's still a ton of just little vines. I mean, I'll never get all these little vines up. Let me get out my shadow out the side here, but you can just see all of this. I'll never get all that up. You can see the tops of them right here. Again, I'll never get it all up. And it's just woven and matted down here. But I feel good. I'm satisfied with what I've done. I don't feel like I cut corners too much when getting it up, which leads me to a question. What have you done in the past that you know you had cut corners on and it came back to bite you later? I'm hoping that's not what's going to happen here. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me later. But be curious what kinds of things you've attempted in the past and it got to the end and you were just kind of like, oh, I just want to be done. And maybe didn't finish it as well as you wanted to and later regretted it. Why don't you go ahead and comment down below. Be curious to see what you'd have to say. We can all share in our mistakes and our regrets and support one another and all of that. We're going to stop for the moment. We're going to go in, grab some lunch, cool off a little bit, hydrate, let the cameras cool down, and then get back out here and reshape this plot, because still the goal is to put plants in the ground tomorrow. We're still shooting for that. is finally done. I've got all the rows the way that I want them, in both the raised bed and the bed behind me. And they're not as straight as they should be, but that's okay. I'll show you what we got. So here we go, and yes, I'm aware that those two long rows run differently than these. And there's a reason for that, at least in my mind there is. And I also realize that these are really close together. Again, there's a reason in my mind for that. But here is the old garden plot that had been covered in weeds and tall grass and then black plastic and everything else. There's how it looks. I'm going to lay the cloth down this afternoon, and was hoping to put plants in the ground today, but that's not going to happen. That's going to have to happen tomorrow. And let's go over here and let's look at the raised bed where the tomatoes are going to grow and take a look at it. Got 8 hills for the tomatoes to go up. That'll go in the ground tomorrow. And of course, I have a lot of soil left over. Way more soil than I anticipated, primarily because I did not spread it over the whole plot like I had initially intended. I decided it would be better to just make the rows with it. And the good news is, this gives me the opportunity to possibly create some other raised beds, smaller raised beds, and I won't have to buy potting soil for the grow bags that I'm going to use to grow potatoes in. And I realize that they say you use potting soil in grow bags, but this is 50-50. Half of this is compost anyway, so we're going to go for it. Keeping in mind that this is a lab experiment, trying to see what we can accomplish here. It's done. Now, cloth again this afternoon. Put plants in the ground, plants and some seeds in the ground tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching this all the way to the end. Again, if you liked it, please do me a favor, give it a like down below. Be sure to share it with somebody. And if you want to keep up with this process of how this is going and my feeble attempts to create a suburban homestead, go ahead and subscribe. Maybe even hit the notification button so you'll know whenever I upload new content. I want to try to get regular with that now that we got a garden in the ground and things of that sort. Most importantly, always remember, the one who created you made you able to create. So why don't you get out there and make it, grow it, live it. See you next time.